So hey everybody, I'm Andy the Kenworth Guy. By now you figured out that this video is a little different than what I've done before. It's kind of shaking and everything. I don't really have a stable way of holding my camera on the dash, so it's just kind of sitting loose there, so it's just kind of jiggling along. But anyhow, welcome to the channel. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you being here. So today we are test driving a 2020 Kenworth T880. This truck is set up with a 565 Cummins, 1850 torque rating, and it has a manual 18-speed transmission. I just love these roads here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. They're just terrible. We need to fix our roads. They're so bad here. And sorry about the, whoop, pay attention here. Sorry about the windshield. It's cold enough that the wiper blades are frozen. I just washed the truck and I'm trying to get the wiper to clean the window, but you know when it's just too cold and that wiper blade just freezes up, so you just leave that streak of liquid, so it's not cleaning, so I apologize for the dirty window. Anyhow, so today, aside from just giving you a ride along in the truck here, we're not going to be doing an outside tour or an inside tour. So if you're looking for a video on something like that, just skip on to another video that I have and you can watch that. And the camera keeps on falling down, so I apologize about that. Sorry. I'm going to try and keep that running stable here for the ride. So today, what I wanted to talk about for a few minutes anyways, is truck gearing. So what do I mean by that? So there's a few different things to talk about when you're talking about gearing a truck. So you have your rear ends, and different trucks have different rear end ratios. So when somebody says, what gears should I put in the truck? I never really tell them, oh, you need 370s or 355s or whatever. There's quite a few things to consider, actually 5 things to consider when picking a ratio. So the first and foremost, the one question that I always ask everybody when picking a ratio is, what is your intended cruise speed? What I mean by that is, how fast are you going to be driving in top gear, whether it's 18th, 13th, or 12th, depending on what type of transmission that you have. What is your intended cruise speed? So that's the first and foremost. So are you going to drive the truck at 70 miles an hour, 110 kilometers an hour, 100? I know some areas are speed limited to 65 miles an hour. So picking your top speed is not picking the governor where the truck stops as far as the highway speed goes, but what that means is it is the RPMs that the truck will turn when it's at that cruise speed or that highway speed that you're picking. So that's the first thing to figure out. How fast are you going to drive the truck? Say 80-90% of the time, because that's where it's going to make or break your bottom line as far as that goes. Now, once you figure that out, you got to look at the engine that you're picking. So are you choosing a PACCAR engine or a Cummins engine? Are you choosing an efficiency series, performance series? Is it high horsepower, low horsepower? All of that kind of stuff. So why you need to have your engine chosen is each engine has its different sweet spot as far as the horsepower is concerned. So if you're driving the truck down the road and you want to be going 1250 RPM at your cruise speed, we're getting somewhere. So the next thing that you got to look at is your transmission. So different transmissions have different overdrive ratios. So you've probably heard of the term double overdrive. So what that means is like a 13 or an 18 double over, it has a 17th gear is a 0.77 or 0.78 overdrive ratio. I may be off on the number. And the 18th gear or 13th gear is a 0.73 overdrive ratio. That I know is correct. So the overdrive at 0.73, that's the second overdrive reduction that your transmission has. So for every complete turn of the transmission, the engine turns over 0.73 of a time, okay, essentially. Now, once you've picked your transmission and you know what ratio it is, and some transmissions are direct drives, meaning your one turn of the engine is one turn of the transmission. So that is what a direct drive transmission is. Your top gear is 1-to-1. And so once you have that figured out, you have your speed, your engine, your transmission. The next thing you got to look at is your tire size. So are you running on 11R 22.5 tires? Are you running on low profile tires? Are you running on 24.5 rubber? So there's all different rubber choices, different speeds that each tire size will give you. So for example, keeping the engine, the transmission all the same and your intended cruise speed the same, you're not changing that, and let's say you have a 22.5 rubber on the back, 11 or 22.5, your RPMs will turn at, let's say 1500 RPM with the gearing that you've chosen. So you have your 22.5. Now if you go to 24.5, so a taller rubber, your RPMs won't turn at 1500 anymore. They're now going to turn at, let's say 1400 for argument's sake, okay? It'll be close. It's about 100 RPM difference. So that's a difference there. So in picking your tire size, you can change your RPMs of the engine or change your speed. So once you have those four things, the last thing that you pick is your ratio. So the higher the number of ratio, like a 4.11 versus a 3.55, the higher ratio, the higher the engine RPMs are at a cruise speed. So at 65 miles per hour, a 411 ratio on 24.5 rubber is going to turn the engine, on 24.5 rubber, it's going to turn the engine over at, let's say, 1500 RPM. If you go down to a 355, you're going to drop your RPMs down to, 1250 or 1300 RPM. So there's a few different things that if you change your tire size, your transmission overdrive, your rear axle ratio, you can kind of play around with those numbers. So I'll just throw something up on the screen here so you can kind of see that different RPMs and different tire size can produce the same cruising speed. So for example, so there's two different ways to get the same RPM. So if you have let's say the transmission is the same and we're just going to play around with the tires and the rear axle ratio. So if we have an 18 overdrive, if you have a 391 ratio on 22.5 rubber, so a 391 ratio on 22.5 rubber, that would be the same as a 411 ratio on 24.5 rubber. And what I mean by the same, it's going to produce the same cruising speed while you're going down the highway at, say, 65 miles an hour. So why would somebody choose a taller rubber with a higher ratio? Well, it gives you a little bit the ability to put a little bit more startability on the truck. So that's the advantage that you would gain. So if you put on a 24.5 tire with 411 ratio, you're gonna get a higher startability. So at that low speed, you're gonna have more ability to lift the load. Whereas with 391s on 22.5, you're gonna have a little bit less ability to lift the load, just for the main reason that you're dropping your rear axle ratio down 1. Your cruise speed is still the same, but your ratio is different. So I hope that's kind of helpful in determining that. I know it's hard to explain sometimes. I usually draw it out when I'm explaining it to somebody, but I hope that clarifies that for you. As far as the rest of this video, I'm just gonna cruise along here, try and get my wipers to clean that window, and just drive down the highway here. So this truck that I'm driving has 391 ratio with a 24.5 tires. So that's like a 3.7 on 22.5. And it's got the 565 Cummins, like I said, 18-speed manual transmission. It's the 76-inch mid-roof sleeper, so it's a nice, well-appointed interior. Leather seats, very comfortable truck to drive. If only I had better roads to drive on. These roads are very rough. So, thanks for stopping by. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. You can click on my little subscribe button down on the corner there. And if you want to also check out our inventory, what we have for sale, you can just click up here and see what we have listed on our on my webpage, thekenworthguy.com. If you want to stop by the store and have a chat about how to gear a truck, how to spec a truck, I'd be more than happy to sit down and do that with you. And trust me, I'll do another video talking about the ratio where I don't have the truck and all the distractions going along here. But I just thought it was a way to give something to talk about while I'm driving this truck down the road. Otherwise, it'd be kind of boring for you. So, without boring you any longer, I will sign off for now, and you have yourself the world's best day.